Are you a podcaster? Maybe you've got that big idea and you're looking for a network to join. The multi-award-winning Ozcast Network can get your content to eyes and ears all over the world. Join now for the first month free, and you could be featuring this sound at the beginning of your podcast.
Ozcast.
Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.
Welcome to Hong Kong Confidential. I'm Jules Hannaford and I'm your host. I'm an Australian woman and I've been living in Hong Kong for many years. I'm a mother, a teacher, an author, and I want to share my wisdom and the wisdom of others with you. Thanks for joining me and I hope you enjoy the show. Hong Kong Confidential is brought to you by Teresa's Turkish Towels. Teresa imports the finest 100% Turkish cotton towels that dry very quickly, making them perfect for Hong Kong's humid climate. Say goodbye to the traditional smelly and stinky towels and try the colourful and fresh selections available online or in Teresa's Wan Chai store. Use the promo code CONFIDENTIAL online or mention this podcast when you visit in person to receive $100 off your entire order when you order 2 or more towels. With 100% satisfaction guaranteed or your money back, the only thing you've got to lose are the musty smells that permeate traditional terry towels. Visit www.hkturkish.com in order to get the address and directions to Teresa's semi-hidden location. Today I am here with Regina Larko from #Impact Podcast. Welcome, Regina. How are you?
I'm doing really good. Thank you so much for having me, Jules. It's so exciting to sit down with another podcaster based in Hong Kong.
It's amazing, isn't it? So we're about the only 2 podcasters that we know. I think we know one other, don't we? But I haven't met her yet.
I know 2 others.
Oh, you know 2
And I've
others.
heard of another one, but I never met him in person. And there are a few.
Okay,
there are a few in town, but I haven't had the chance to meet them in person. And I haven't had the chance to interview
I know, so
with
this
them
is
in
exciting.
person. Yeah.
So we're having the podcaster interviewing the podcaster today. So that's really cool. What a cool concept. Regina, tell me how you got started in podcasting.
I was always really passionate about audio growing up. So it was one of my many dreams that I wanted to be a radio host one day. I thought maybe I could be my own radio host now that technology makes it possible. And I've been, since I discovered podcasts, actually quite recently, just a few years back, I found them on my iPhone. Then I thought, okay, how do other people, how does that work? People can just put that up or what? So I started doing some research and realized maybe it's possible to do that, even for me as a non-techie at all. And maybe I can teach myself how to do it. And so far it's been an amazing journey, great learning experience. And I'm so happy I took that step.
Yeah, it's quite fantastic, isn't it? What are the things that you love most about podcasting?
Everything, really. Everything. Just the moment of the recording. I love that. To sit down with the person. I record all the interviews in person, never over the phone. So I get to meet the people. I get to sit down with them, have a conversation with them. So that's what I love most, I guess, the actual recording. But also when I look into the research, before I meet the person, that there are pictures created in my mind already about that person and about that organization. And then afterwards as well, actually sitting down, a lot of people say, I hate to hear my voice. I don't want to listen to that. I didn't think that was so painful for me. I don't know. I almost feel a bit guilty. I don't feel so bad about hearing my own recording. I don't find it painful to listen to it afterwards. So then I just go back, listen to that recording. And actually I enjoyed that part as well. When I start the editing, because I do all that like you, myself, sit down and edit everything. And then I actually realized, there were some things in that conversation that I haven't picked up on while I was recording, because like you're doing now, you're checking the sound levels. Is my guest speaking loud enough? You're thinking about the next question. So you want to be in the conversation, but sometimes you can't be as much in it as you want to be in it. So I enjoyed listening to it as well. So yeah, I guess all around podcasting is just, I found my mission.
Yeah, your
my
passion,
meaning, my passion.
Yeah, me too. I absolutely love it. I've been amazed by all the people that I've met.
Yeah.
It's been absolutely fantastic. And even having contact with you and supporting each other on social media and sharing each other's posts and encouraging each other. It's been so lovely to have you here in Hong Kong supporting me.
Yeah, same here.
Especially because you've been going 6 months longer than me, so you're the experienced one and I'm the one that's still up and coming.
I learned a lot from you. Like, I saw your post about, now Hong Kong Confidential is on Spotify. And I'm like, wow, how did you manage to do that? Because I had tried to do that a few months earlier when they had like this Google document that you had to send in. Okay, this is getting very specific. Other podcasters will probably know what we're talking about now. It's a big discussion about, is it important to be on Spotify? How do you get on Spotify? But then I saw from you, like, you managed to do it. So I thought, okay, then I just have to look into it as well. It gave me motivation as well when I saw what you achieved,
That's great.
Yeah, then I looked into it. Okay, let's see how I can get that done.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm so pleased.
Yeah.
And do you think that, is it hard for you to find guests?
Not at all.
No,
Not at all.
Neither.
No. Yeah. I was just asked that the other day, like now you have done 2 seasons of the show. Are we running out of guests? No. I mean, they're always inspiring people around. And I mean, my field, my niche is social impact. But I keep it very broad, yeah. Having said I have a niche, at the same time, I do cover all kinds of industries, from environment, from education to human trafficking, everything, really. So there's so many amazing people in Hong Kong doing brilliant work. And I cannot keep up. And I feel almost like I wish I had a whole team of people that go out and interview all these people that deserve to be mentioned and featured, also like the small organizations, the people that don't always get the attention from South China Morning Post. I'd love to report on all of them.
Maybe
I still have a lot to do. I still have a lot to do.
So why did you decide to focus on social issues?
That's always been my passion as well. I always wanted to make change myself. I come from a very idealistic background, I guess. I always thought as a child, like, why can the world not be peaceful? I always felt that I always believed in the good and that the good will always win. And, I grew up a bit and maybe my idealism, I had my fair frustrations as well. And I used to work with an NGO in China for 5 years where there were a lot of setbacks and where I also questioned my own work as well. Like, is my work making an impact? So I went on this journey really to rediscover the passion I always felt about you can make a positive impact in this world. And if you decide to go for this professionally as well, like working for an NGO, setting up a social enterprise, then you are my hero. And then I want to meet you and I want to feel inspired by you. So it was really easy I didn't choose the topic. The topic was already like in me.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah. How lovely. Give me a bit of your background. Tell me a little bit about your childhood and where you come from and how you've got to Hong Kong.
Yeah, so I'm born and raised in Vienna. I'm the very first person in my family that went abroad. So I've always been very protected. Like I had a very protected childhood. Everyone was always looking out for me. I think they were all a bit shocked when I decided to go and study in China, what I did after I started studying sinology and sinology China studies. And that was also an experiment for me. I come from a creative background as well. I always loved to play in the school theater. So that was actually where my passion was when I was a high school girl. or the radio, creating communications, these things. So I think a more natural path for me would have been to go into like media or communications journalism. But I kind of got a bit distracted by the thought of becoming an actress. So I applied for an acting school and that didn't go well. So I didn't get accepted. But I haven't made up my mind what else to do. I thought, of course, this school will see my talent. I'm going to be an actress, right? So when they said no, the registration timeline for signing up for university was almost out. I still had like 3 days to go to sign up for a major in university. And then that kind of happened by accident. China studies. There was some good advice from the extended family. Like, I was always interested in languages. So he said, why don't you do something that not everyone does? I would have probably chosen Italian or Spanish just because we always went on holidays there as well. I felt close to the culture. And so Chinese was not something that came in my mind like by myself. Yeah, it was planted. Oh. And I was like, okay, why not? Just try it out. So I can give you the long story or the short story.
You came to China and then you said you worked for an NGO.
Yes.
What did you do there?
Yeah, so I was a program manager and researcher for Konrad Adenauer Foundation. They work a lot on international relations. They give out scholarships for students to go study in Germany, like Chinese students studying in Germany. And so that's what I did there. I did research on China politics, Chinese history, everything really. And we were running conference programs with the aim to bring pluralism and, I guess, freedom of thought to China as well, an ambitious goal.
I know. How did that go? Did you get anywhere?
Yeah, well, that's what I mentioned, that like after 5 years working for the organization, they do amazing work. And I see that especially when it comes to the scholarship program, there was a lot of great impact that has been made. But just the political developments within China just made it more and more difficult just to run certain programs where you want to, trigger these more deep discussions on sensitive political issues, of course. So there were frustrations and setbacks, but I'm really proud of what they do and that they keep doing it. And I mean, they're not doing this just in China. They're doing this all over the world. They have the headquarters in Berlin, but they have loads of different, like small local offices all over the world where they want to engage in discussions, to open discussions about like international relations and the big questions that I was always passionate about, right?
Yeah,
the freedom, the working together, the making the world a more fair, equal place for everyone, a great place to live in.
Oh, it does sound amazing. Yeah. How did you end up then in Hong Kong?
Yeah, that was a lucky coincidence, really, that my husband was transferred here. So at that point, when we were living in Shanghai, then we were living in Beijing. So we had been there for, in total, like 5-6 years. So we felt also ready to move to another place. And then he got the opportunity. So we looked at loads of different opportunities, like going back to Europe. We hadn't really set our mind on where would be our next stop. We were just like we always did when we also came out to China, like, okay, whoever finds something intriguing first, then we just go for that and the other one will come along.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
That's a very supportive, equal relationship.
Yeah. So I brought him to Beijing and he brought me then to Hong Kong. So that was great and I was really happy. I've been visiting Hong Kong a lot during my time in mainland China as well for business trips. And this was always a place I really wanted to live in one day. So,
and how long have you been living here?
A bit over 3 years now.
Oh, wow. Awesome. Mm-hmm. You love podcasts, listening to them, and then you decided you wanted to do it. So how did you learn the skills?
Loads of tutorials online. How did you do it, Jules?
I did a course on Udemy. It's an app on your phone.
Yeah,
so I did a 21-hour online course with some young guy in Melbourne. And then I taught myself in YouTube.
Yeah.
So I learned how to use everything in YouTube, and then I bought the equipment, and then I just got started.
Yeah. I mean, it seems a bit intimidating at first. I think when I got started, I was like, I don't know, can I really do that? But it's not that difficult, right? Once you know how it's done, you go through this, you learn how to edit. It's even for me as a total, tech disaster, I still figured out how to do it and got the podcast up and running. And it's always hardest to start out. And where do you start? Just finding the right resources and looking for places where you get information. I wish at that point I didn't know anyone here. I wish I could have had someone to reach out to. Like, oh, you already doing a podcast? Can I meet you? Can you tell me about it? How is it?
That would have been so helpful for both of us. I mean, in a way, that's what we're kind of doing now.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, because people are reaching out, and that's amazing. Like other people in Hong Kong, for sure, for you as well. Like once you're out there, other people that want to start a podcast, they will also ask for advice. And
I've had a few
wonderful.
already. Yeah, it's great, isn't it? What's one thing that you wish you'd known when you first started?
About the podcast?
About podcasting,
A shortcut on the Mac. Command T. You're not on Mac. That's very specific. Command T is the shortcut in GarageBand that you use to cut the audio file. And that was not taught in my tutorial right away, I think. And I wish I would have known earlier, because I wasted a lot of time, because I thought it should be easy to figure out how to cut that file, right? I don't know if there's another way, if it's only the shortcut or if there's another setting somewhere how to do it. I mean, the shortcut works fine.
See, there you go. You're in GarageBand and I'm working in Audacity. So,
do you? Yeah. You can teach me about Audacity.
Audacity is really easy to use.
Yeah?
It's great. Yeah. And I've discovered some shortcuts just recently that have made my life much easier. Oh, it's hilarious. How long would it take you to edit an hour-long podcast usually, do you think? I know it depends on the guest.
It depends on the guest, yeah. The audio editing itself doesn't take that long. And especially as I think I got a bit better as well, how I lead the conversation, that I know how to stop the guest and how to guide them through the conversation, so that I don't even have to, ideally I don't cut anything out, and usually I really don't. So that makes it very easy just to get that editing part done, the audio editing part. But then what takes the time? And that is something that's, where I'm also challenged. How can I keep up with my publishing schedule? Is I want to put a really nice blog post together as well. I want to produce nice artwork for each and every episode. I want to take out the best quotes. I want to have stuff that I can promote on the social media as well. And that takes time.
Yeah, I haven't got down to transcribing my podcasts or doing any blog posts or doing any extra artwork for it. I've been doing a lot of social media, which, I mean, you do as well. We've seen each other on social media. But it's very hard to find the time to do all the rest of the stuff, isn't it, that you could be doing to build your brand?
Yeah, definitely. And I think what I still need to learn is delegating. So in the future, for sure, I will need more support, and I'm taking more support on now just because of my upcoming new adventure of having a newborn at home. So I will be physically out for a while, and that's why I took on some volunteers that are helping out with social media. And it teaches me a lot about letting go as well and delegating, what I'm usually not too good at, because I always want to do it then my way, and I feel okay. I got better actually in the last year to be happy with, it doesn't always have to be perfect.
Yeah. It's hard to let go of control, isn't it?
Exactly.
So do you have some people that are doing some stuff for you voluntarily?
Yeah.
Oh, how did you find them?
They reached out. So that's amazing.
Wow, that's cool.
Reached out, said, we love the podcast. Can we support? Yeah.
Oh, that's great. So how many people have you got helping you?
Well, there's one volunteer that helps with the social media. And then I have two, I guess volunteer is a good word to say, but it's more than that. They are coming on as co-hosts on the show. And so in that sense, they want to learn about podcasting as well and want to learn to be hosts. And in that way, it's a great collaboration, actually, because I could teach them how to do it. I can help them with the equipment. I give them a platform to also test a bit how it is to do an episode for #Impact Podcast.
So how does it feel to share the space with somebody as a co-host after doing it on your own for so long?
It's great, actually. It's great because I feel the journey, especially in the beginning, was a bit a lonely one. It was, of course, I got support from friends. Everyone encouraged me, you should do that, you do it. But still, I was doing it then, 40 hours a week or even longer by myself. And it was never hard for me to stay motivated and do it because I really believed in it. But more the feeling of it's nice to share the little milestones and also the setbacks with someone that would be in it as well, So that's how I feel now, that I have some people really engaged and helping out in the way they do. That, little things like setting up a WhatsApp group chat with the people that are voluntarily helping out and then getting their notification like, the new post is online on Instagram. I posted this just now. Did you see? It makes me feel that what I set out to do in the first place, building a community of people that care about these stories that I tell, is really coming to life. And it's very meaningful to me to see that people actually care, not just me who has kind of born the idea, but people actually get invested in it and say, we want this to grow, we want to support you, make this into something more than a podcast as well.
Oh, isn't that amazing? Yeah. That's great. Yeah. I'm so impressed. Give me some more goals.
So you can do it.
Yeah. So you don't have another job.
It's my full-time.
It's your full-time job.
It's my full-time passion project. That's what I always call it.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Wow. I'm so jealous. Yeah. I'm teaching full-time. Yeah, but that's the thing. I'm so impressed with how you do it because I know how much time I put in it, and I put all my time in it. All my working hours I put in this. Only in this. And it was hard to take that step, actually, because I did do freelance projects before I started this. And there was this one, it was last summer, actually, when I had decided that I want to do a podcast. So the idea was already there, but I hadn't really committed to it. I didn't set up a domain yet. I didn't start interviewing yet. I didn't order the equipment yet. But then I took little steps. I ordered the equipment. I did look into, which name would be good for the show. Little steps. Yeah? And at that time, people reached out to me from the companies I worked before. I've still done a lot of program work with the Economist events. They do great stuff. They're a great team. I always loved working with them. And they kept reaching out we have this project. Do you want to do that? We have this project. And there were 3 requests or 3 things that came kind of at the same time. And I said no to the first one. And it felt all right. Then I said no to the second one. And then when I said no to the third one, I kind of freaked out a bit. I was like, what am I doing? I keep sending people away that want to give me paid work, right? And for an idea I have about starting a podcast, am I insane? Yeah? Somewhat.
Yeah. But then I felt... it didn't take too long. It was good to kind of say these no's and then really commit to it and say, okay, I'm just going to put all my time in it now.
Oh, good for you. And do you think there's any money in podcasting?
Yeah.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Do you earn any money?
No. Me neither. No. And as I said, it's a passion project.
Yes.
But I wanted to give myself the time also to figure out where this is going. Where did I read this? I read probably heard it in another podcast. I will come up with where it was, where it's about this, starting a business, getting monetizing and all this. Sometimes you think you have something that you want to sell and you try to sell it to the world and no one wants your product. And I kind of came from the perspective feeling I give myself some time to do something where I learn as well. It was an investment in me, learning how to podcast, how to do that. It was important to me.
Same here.
And then I felt what I heard in this podcast episode, that things will come. You will be approached by people that want to get involved, that want your advice, that want you to be involved in their projects, and then you will see what your value really is. And that's what I feel now, what is happening slowly, but where I can see a bigger vision for what this will become. And I don't know yet what that exactly is, Jules. I cannot give it away.
Yeah. But we're hopeful that it will grow into something bigger.
Yes.
What are some of the most memorable people or podcasts that you've done over the last year? Or some of your favourites, or what stands out to you? Something that really had a big hashtag impact on me?
I love all of them. You know, all these people that take the time and sit down with me. I always feel bad pointing special people out because they're all amazing. They're all amazing. Yeah. And it means a lot to me that they put their trust in me to sit down for an interview, because it is a scary thing to do, and they put themselves out there, right? But if I should mention someone, I would actually want to, and you interviewed him as well. I want to point out, Jeff as well. Yes, Jeff from Impact HK is an amazing change maker. But I actually was thinking now about Matt Friedman, who you also interviewed, who is just, besides his story that is so powerful that people should go back and listen to on your podcast and on Hashtag Impact Podcast as well, because he is involving the industry to end modern day slavery, and he is so driven and passionate. So that is inspiring itself. But it went beyond that, you know, the encouragement that I get from people like him, or also from Sue Toomey, who I interviewed for the very first episode. This is something that they're already more advanced in their career, and they have been so not just supportive when it comes to the podcast and sharing their episode and telling other people about it, but they gave me the feeling that they believe in me as well. Yeah. So that's just something that I really appreciate. Like, you come across these people that give you so much. And, you know, even if it's just a little note per email replying to my newsletter that goes out, it means everything when they say, "Oh, I'm so proud of you." It means so much to me.
Yeah, that's lovely.
Yeah, so these, I guess, on a personal side, I kind of have to point those two out because they've been mentors along the way as well.
Oh, that's beautiful. See, you're doing so much alongside of your podcast. You're really building your brand, and I'm quite jealous that you've got the time to put into it. That's really amazing, like having a newsletter and a blog and all of that. And I'm getting there. Did you have that right from the beginning, or is this something that's developed over the year?
Yeah, I had that from the beginning, even the newsletter, you know, and I don't have many subscribers on there. I don't even want to say how many. It's not many. It's my tribe, my little tribe. Yeah. But, you know, then now and then a random stranger actually does subscribe. And we're like, who's that? Yeah. I did not add those people to the newsletter. So that happens. So that's always wonderful when these strangers all of a sudden out of nowhere reach out and actually sign up. But I did that from the beginning. Yeah. To inform my little community that I have right now on updates. I guess I've always been very passionate about just sharing also my personal experiences. So the newsletters are actually, especially in the beginning, now it changed up a little bit, but in the beginning they were really personal, because there were
just about what you got out of the interview, what it was like meeting that person.
Exactly, and a lot of oh God, especially in the beginning. I mean, the first, I think 6 or 7 episodes. I mean, so much went wrong all the time with the technical setup of things. Yeah, so I was going on and on in my newsletters about oh, that poor Paul who I recorded with in episode 2. We had to change location 3 times because there was a bad echo. And then when we recorded on the rooftop, there was so much wind, you can hardly hear him. But please, listen to the episode because it is an amazing episode. But I feel people appreciate that as well, or at least that's what I hear, that I'm being honest about it.
Yeah.
About that it's not... Things go wrong still today.
I put up an episode recently with Mikhail Tomasov from Russia, the head of the LGBTQ, and the sound was really not great. Yeah. We'd recorded in a restaurant in TST, and I didn't do a great job, but the interview is so amazing. I had to put it up, so I put a bit of a disclaimer at the beginning. It's getting loads of listens. It's going really well. So people don't mind, I think, if you're just honest about when you stuff up and just put it out there. And I don't know, I think more and more people connect with you when you just be yourself and share stuff about yourself as well on your podcasts as well. You know, it's really important, isn't it?
Definitely.
Yeah. It's interesting because I always interview only live as well. I've done no recordings, and I think that's important because you really do make connections with people. And I also feel like I get so much out of it. Like I leave all of my interviews just so inspired. I want to go and start all these crusades after I meet all these people and join all these groups. And it's like I don't have the time. But it's just such an amazing experience. Like I just want to keep going, just if only for that reason.
Yeah, do it. No, definitely.
Yeah, it's amazing. How do you balance motherhood and podcasting?
Oh, the motherhood.
Yeah,
another adventure.
You've got 2 other children?
I have one other girl.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have one soon 2.5-year-old girl and another one now coming in a few weeks. Yeah. Oh. Yes, so it's going to be even more crazy to balance motherhood and the podcast. I think how I do it, I do spend a lot of time away from my daughter because I'm passionate about my work and the stories I want to tell. But when I'm home, I'm home. And I really learned that this is so, so important. When she goes to bed, and sometimes, of course, I go back on social media and track and share and do something. But when I come home, it's 100% her, and in the weekends as well. I appreciate every minute I have with her. And sometimes it's exhausting because she's still little and she is high maintenance and very dramatic.
It's hard.
I have a very passionate child. But it's great. I love her passion and I love her, how should I say, being so dramatic at times. I don't know who she has that from. Probably my husband. Probably my husband. But I love being a mom, and it was something that I wanted to be since I was, I think, 15 or so. At one point, I really just wanted to have a family, and that was it. I didn't have so many ambitions for being an actress when I was 50. That came a bit later, But it was a dream come true to be a mom. And I think it's a really humbling experience to have so much responsibility for a child. It's really meaningful. You must feel the same way too.
Yeah, I do. I really do. I can totally relate to what you're saying, although my daughter's 28 now.
Yeah.
So.
Is she 28?
28,
wow.
Yeah. So it's nearly
Jules, 29. You had her really young.
Yeah, I was 12.
Yeah. Oh my God, how can you have a 28-year-old daughter? Now I'm almost shocked.
I'm 52.
No way.
Yeah, I'm nearly 53.
Jules.
Yeah.
I'm really bad with guessing ages, but I really didn't expect. Yeah. I mean, age is just a number, right?
Yeah, well, until you start, your knees pack up and your wrist packs up.
But I mean, that doesn't ever end. Like this special bond you have with your children, and even if they're grown up, you still appreciate all the time. And
it's one of my greatest achievements, motherhood. Yes. Yeah, and I've got the most amazing daughter.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Brilliant. Does that mean that you've had to get prepared with a lot of episodes up your sleeve, ready to post or ready to drop so that you can just sit back with your new baby? How many have you got up your sleeve?
It has been such a mental last few months. And just when I arrived here, right, I had to don't tell Christina about it, who is my like food guru and health and how I should eat healthy snacks. I just had to eat that chocolate, right? To make it through the interview. I'm being so crazy, I guess, that I wanted to have my whole upcoming season 3 that will air from March till September ready before I go on maternity leave. So I did make some adjustments.
You've got 24 episodes done.
No, not at all. I made some adjustments to make this happen. So first adjustment was I used to publish every week. I reduced. From beginning of this year, I'm only publishing every other week. I started recording already in November, December for the upcoming season. And I've had super patient guests that are waiting now for months, really, to get their interview out in the world, trying to make it as timeless as possible. Then I have the co-hosts that I mentioned that are going to come in. So I don't even know the number exactly because I'm not done with editing all of them. But I have, I think, at least 6 or 7 scheduled as we speak, like right now, that are going to go out in the next couple of months while I'm going to be...
With your baby.
Yeah, with the baby. Recovering. And then I have these amazing co-hosts coming in that are going to bring in bonus episodes as well.
They're going to do a few on their own without you,
Yeah, exactly. Cool. So I'm going to be there in spirit. And I'm going to be there in the intro to introduce our listeners. I didn't want to disappear. That's what there were a lot of thoughts about this, like strategic thoughts. I mean, who is forcing me to publish my podcast, right? I could just say, I'm going on the next season will start in autumn 2018. Yeah. But I felt, no, I don't want to have such a long pause. And then people do forget about you. And that podcast app where you have your subscribers will stop downloading because there's nothing to download. So people will forget about you. So I wanted to keep wanted to remind people I'm still around.
Good for you. So when you do your seasons, do you have a little break in between each one, do you?
Usually I do.
How long?
Usually between first and second season, I had like a 1 month break or even longer, maybe even longer, 1.5 months. Because I did not do all this pre-recording because there was I guess the baby is good because it gives me a lot of pressure to actually schedule a lot beforehand. Yeah. But now with this season, I don't even have a break. So there's going to be, we are phasing out to season 2 and then we're just going to hit season 3 right away. And the decision why I did that, of course, I could have said, okay, we have a 1 month break now or whatnot. But as I said, I already recorded with so many of these amazing people a long time ago. And I feel they're already waiting so long. I just want to get them out now as well.
Yeah, it's hard when you interview and then they're like, when's my podcast coming? And it's like, I'm trying.
Yeah, I'm trying my best.
I think what's also really lovely is we're interviewing a few of the same people, but there's such great feeling of support rather than, competition or jealousy, which is really, really nice.
Yeah,
I really appreciate that.
Yeah, no, and I'm so happy to see, as I'm so passionate about the format, as are you, it's just, you can't get enough. I can't get enough podcasts on my phone to listen to. I'm happy to see more content coming from Hong Kong. And I think you can only learn from each other. I was so excited to see your equipment. I said that before, right? Yeah. Like, wow, how is Jules recording? How is she setting up? You have a wonderful recording booth here.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a great little spot.
Your own little studio. You had prepared the water for me. Everything set up. It's really cozy here.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it? Yeah, I used to run around all over Hong Kong and go to all these random places that weren't ideal and the sound was rubbish. And I've just taken a decision now, or I've just made a decision now that I'm going to ask people to come to me because I've got this ideal space.
Yes.
And I don't have to pay for it. Yeah.
That's amazing. Great. Yeah.
Yeah. Why do you think that podcasting is becoming so much more popular?
I mean, podcasting is not new. It's been around.
But it's really on the rise,
It's really on the rise. And my theory is that people are getting a bit tired as well of how they're being approached by, be it marketing or companies, or the way they always force you to look at something, right? There's another video, there's another fancy picture. You're kind of like overloaded with your feed going off all the time with so much things to look at. And there's just something about audio that is relaxing and refreshing. And you can take it wherever you are. You don't have to look at it. You can, go to the gym. That's what I did actually to celebrate 1 year of #Impact podcast. I asked the people, where do you listen to your podcasts? And some people said, while I'm cooking. I listen while I'm cooking. Some people like to listen in the gym. It's a format that you can take wherever you are. And I think that makes it so convenient. And there are just more great shows out there, like Hong Kong Confidential.
and #Impact
podcast. Yeah. And Hong Kong Writers Circle, can I throw that one out as well?
Yeah.
And The Better in Bed. Who else should we give credit to here in Hong Kong?
There's a great history podcast as well. What's that called?
The Heritage.
Yes.
Hong Kong Heritage.
Yeah.
I mean, there are loads of shows, and I think that's just something that there's just more to choose from now as well for people. So of course it will get more popular if you have more choice and more great productions happening.
Yeah. And I totally agree with you. And I think in this day and age, everyone's so busy that to be able to keep on the move and doing stuff while you're listening and still being entertained is fantastic. I absolutely love it for sleeping. I love going to sleep listening to podcasts.
Yeah.
And I was so addicted to them before I got into it. That's really why I got into it, because I love them so much. For you, what is the most difficult part of the podcasting process? What do you find the trickiest?
It would still be the technical things. There are still technical glitches that happen at times. Most of them I could figure out along the way and testing and doing it over and over again. It's all learning by doing, right? And the more you do it, the easier it gets.
Yeah, you definitely get better with practice.
Exactly. But then there are still these moments where this software just doesn't, I don't know for what reason or whatsoever, all of a sudden have a weird echo in the record. I don't even know why. I was in the same spot just a day earlier. We recorded in the same spot. The microphone was set up the exact same way. And then I have this weird echo. And that sometimes makes me really angry. Why did that happen now? But that's why I always have my backup recorder as well. So if my microphones fail me, I always have a backup as well. That has also really good sound quality, so it's not a big issue. There's the perfectionism again.
I don't do a backup recording, but I could, got my
the
new
software
recorder.
better doesn't crash now, Jules. Don't you make me nervous now.
Fingers crossed. What advice would you give to somebody who is thinking about starting podcasting?
Do it. Yes, that's all I can say. Just really try it out. If you want advice, reach out to us. We can help if you're here in Hong Kong or wherever you are. It's something so rewarding and refreshing. I learned so much. So if you're thinking about it, do it.
And in an ideal world, what do you see as the future of podcasting?
The future of podcasting, I would want it to be, a powerful instrument for people to get their message out that don't always have the chance to get their message heard, and empower people to spread good news. Good in a sense that underprivileged people, minorities, people that you don't see in the news or in the media all the time, people that have been a bit forgotten, that they also can that they can have a voice, really share their voice and their experience with others, and find ways to connect with other people and find supporters.
So what's it like for you to meet somebody else in Hong Kong, me, in fact, who's a podcaster?
Yeah.
What does it feel like?
It's awesome. I love it. I really
great,
love
it. It's like now we've got a little community. Yeah, we've got a gang of two of us.
We have totally a gang, and I think we're gonna look into that. We should do more socials here in Hong Kong, because that's what I said as well in our season finale for season 2, that if we sit down in a year from now, I can guarantee you that's my trend analysis now. There will be more podcasters here in Hong Kong for sure.
Yes.
So we will have a whole
we're going to be the grandmas of the team.
Oh God, we're going
to be the experienced older ones.
Totally. Yeah.
We can look forward to that. But we should actually maybe do a little. Maybe you and I should get together and put out something. Does anyone want to start? And would they like to get together and learn from us? And we could even maybe run some little sessions.
And also in schools, I've been doing some podcasting workshops in cooperation with, or I was invited to their own academy, their own future fair. Have you heard about that one?
Great.
It's amazing. Upcoming guest on the show as well, Natalie Jan, who is revolutionizing education. You should get together, actually, thinking about your background, working as a teacher as well, right? She has set up then for me to meet these youngsters and tell them about podcasting, and it was wonderful doing this with them and seeing. I always felt like, is it really retro? Maybe the audio. Am I a grandmother?
No, it's new and exciting.
Millennials, they love it as well. They love their video. Yes. I don't know on what social media they are active. Definitely not Facebook.
No, not Snapchat and Instagram.
It's so old for the old generation. Yeah, but they are. I was really surprised to see when I asked them, so who knows about podcasts? And they were like, yeah, I'm listening to this and this and this and this one. So they were active listeners of podcasts.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to be running a little podcasting thing here because we're having a digital literacy 3 days.
That's perfect.
So 1 year level. So maybe you can share your resources with me.
Please.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
So Regina, what's one thing you can tell me about yourself that nobody really knows?
That nobody really knows.
Something you haven't put out on your podcast that you can share with my listeners.
It's not a secret, but at least I haven't mentioned it in a podcast, I think, was that I used to be part of a dance group in Austria.
Oh, great.
And they are amazing. So can I give a shout out to them?
Please.
I was there from day one and I kind of stumbled upon it really randomly just because of another student job I had. And then the sister of the founder said, like, oh, do you want to join a dance group? And I'm like, I like to dance. I don't have no training in it, but I love to dance. Let's join. So they're called Millennium Dancers, an Austrian, now multi-award winning cheer dance team in Austria. You're laughing. They're famous. Yeah. Since I left, they're famous. Yeah. Since I left. No, they have been. So when did I join? That was 2001. So now they're going to the competitions. They're winning the prizes. In Europe, I think they're Austrian cheer dance champion for several years in a row. So I was part of this.
How cool.
I never made it to the competitions because, as I said, I didn't have the training. But I did make it to these other performances we did at high parties. And so that was a lot of fun doing that.
Well, thank you for sharing that little tidbit with us. That's really cool.
Check out the Millennium Dancers.
So, Regina, how can our listeners find your podcast, #Impact Podcast?
Yeah, you can just go. The easiest way, I think, is just go to the website. So you can go to www.impact.com. And there are all the links. So because you can find it on iTunes, on Spotify, on all these Android apps that I don't really know of because I don't use. What do you use? Android phone and iPhone as well.
iPhone, yeah.
So I'm not.
I don't even know if I'm on Android apps.
Yeah.
I don't know if I am.
But if you're on iTunes, then you are probably because I also thought like, am I on these Android apps? I don't know. If you're on iTunes, you're pretty much everywhere because they grab your feed from iTunes, right?
Right. Okay,
so, but there are all the links. #impact.com.
And congratulations on making it onto New and Noteworthy in Apple Podcasts.
Congratulations to you too. And again, if you wouldn't have told me, I wouldn't even know.
I know, brilliant. That's hilarious. I took a little screenshot of your thing
and that's
to
like
show you.
The milestone, right? For all the podcasters.
I know, it's amazing, but I think we're lucky we're in Asia. I think that's why we're there. Some algorithm threw us there.
Yes.
But we're also lucky that we had that really cool article.
Yes. Shout out to
Sassy Hong Kong.
Sophie.
Yeah, so am I. She was my ex-student.
Oh my God, you know what? I bumped into her the other day, and that was so random because we had been writing, because I thanked her. I looked up like who wrote this article.
Yes.
I thanked her like, thank you so much. And it made me so happy because I saw other articles that she posted. She is a great resource for podcasts. Like if you want to listen to other podcasts, please check out her post on Sassy Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Because she puts them all together in such a great way. And that made me even more proud because I know she listens to so many. And then if she chooses us, that really means something.
I know, it was great.
And then I sit next to her and I didn't know it was her. And then afterwards, like, I went to the elevator and then she comes after me and says, are you Regina? She thought she recognized me. Because of the voice, I guess.
Brilliant,
but we had never met. It was so funny.
Cool.
And then she told me that she was your student.
She was my student. Yeah, isn't that great? So anyway, Hong Kong's quite small, isn't it? That's why we're interviewing a lot of the same people. Well, that's fine. It's great. Yeah. Regina, thank you so much for meeting with me today. It's an absolute pleasure to hang out and hear about your podcasting journey and inspire me to do some other stuff rather than just like podcast and social media. I'm going to try a newsletter and I'm actually getting a webpage organised at the moment.
Yeah. Let me know when it's live.
I will. Thank you. Thanks for coming today.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome.
Hi, Confidants. I want to tell you about my Patreon page. I've joined Patreon in the hope of getting sponsorship for my Hong Kong Confidential podcast. Patreon is a great way for my listeners to get on board and sponsor me with monthly payments, and that goes towards my production costs and rewards for my members. If you're interested in checking out my Patreon page, please go to patreon.com and search up Jules Hannaford or Hong Kong Confidential. I would really appreciate you visiting my page. So that brings us to the end of another Hong Kong Confidential podcast. I'm Jules Hannaford. Thanks for joining me, and I hope you'll be with me again next week. If you enjoyed today's podcast, please can you go to iTunes to rate and review it. I would really appreciate your feedback. You can email me at jules@hongkongconfidential.net, and you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Hong Kong Confidential. If you'd like to hit me up on Twitter, it's at Jules Hannaford. I would love to hear from you.
Are you a podcaster? Maybe you've got that big idea and you're looking for a network to join. The multi-award-winning Ozcast network can get your content to eyes and ears all over the world. Join now for the first month free, and you could be featuring this sound at the beginning of your podcast.
Ozcast.
Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.